And when the user presses spacebar, it changes colors. So first, let's initialize PyGame and let's create the window, like for us to display a window. So our first goal would be creating a window. So in order to create one, you need to create a variable that stores the following: pygame dot display dot set underscore mode. So inside this set mode method, it has an argument that requires two integers. I mean, a variable that requires two integers, which would be the length and the width of our window. For me, I just want to make it, oh, what the heck, 600 by 600. So yeah, this actually is already finished. We can already display a window, but if we try to, yeah, the window disappears instantly because the code already ended. But it did display a window. So that's the first goal of our week's task. So now we will create a game loop where the window only closes when user press the X icon. So now let's create that game loop. So I like to store the variable of the boolean inside of a for our loop while running. So this one is called an event handler, and this is how basically the PyGame handles input from the user that it's stored inside of a while loop or our game loop. So it can be any name for E or for event in pygame that event that get. So this function gets the like input from the user. So now we would set it up. So if event dot type is equals to pygame dot quit. So we are setting up this part first. When the user presses X, it closes, and when the user presses spacebar, it changes colors. So to do that, we need to, for me, I turn the boolean into false first, and then pygame.quit. And you have to import this so it actually closes and doesn't really run in the background anymore. From system import exit, port exit. So now we can run the exit function and it should work properly. So if we were to run this, I forgot to add the pygame that display that update. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just updates the display inside of the game loop. So now if we were to run this, we have successfully displayed the window. And when we press the X button, X icon, it will close and end the loop. So we have done it. So since now we have figured out on how to actually handle input from the user, this is also a kind of input from the user. So now our goal here is to, when the user press the space bar, it will change the color. So how do you display something inside of our screen? So first, there's a built-in function called screen.fill, and it asks for three integers that is an color value. So like if we were to try to do this, like 5, and run again, since this just follows the format of RGB, red, green, and blue. So yeah. So what we want to do is change its color whenever I press the space bar. Since now we know how to change the color of the window or what it displays, we can now create an input where it changes the numbers inside of the screen fill. So how do we do that? Well, for me, my approach would be creating a variable first, 0, g equals 0, b equals 0. Since I don't really care what kind of color it displays, I just want it to change the color when it presses the space bar. Add import random module. So where do we run it? So before that, let's remove this first. So in the event handler, there's another type called PyGame dot key down. So what basically this event type PyGame key down. So it detects if the user did press something down, like when they pressed it. It's like when the user press something, then it goes to this conditional. So once the user press something, it will check inside of this conditional if there are specific inputs when the user does do, it will give up a certain behavior. Since we wanted to change the color whenever every time we want to press the spacebar, we put it inside of this. If event that type, if event that key equals pygame that key space. So when the user press the spacebar, it will go to this conditional statement. And now this is where we change the values of R, G, and B. So R, since we are using the random int, we would just random int function, and it will ask us two integers where it should be like the starting point and the end point. For me, that would be 255 and 1. We can just do the following for the other two. R, G, and B, and then we're done. Since we're all done here, and now we could go screen.fill, just pass in the R, G, and B. So now let's actually run the game. Python week 5. So the window is not displaying anything right now as the current values of the three variables is R, G, and B are 0. So that means it's black. So now if we press the space bar, it should change its display. So what happened is some different numbers were changed here. So yeah. So yeah, we have basically finished week 1. We now figure out how to make a game loop and how to handle input from the user. And yeah, there's also another one called on how to create your FPS. I'm just gonna introduce it here right now. I mean, right now it doesn't do anything, but it will be important. So pygame that clock, make sure it's capitalized. And now you go here, clock that time that tick 60 frames per second. So basically everything now is running from 60 frames per second. So yeah, we have finished the goal for this week 1 and just stay tuned for week 2.